Like to hear see the low numbers go. Okay. All right. We can forego the call to order, pledge of allegiance, roll call, since we did it in the first public hearing. Could I get a motion to accept the minutes from the September 25th regular monthly town board meeting and the October 8th budget meeting number 2?
I'll make a motion to accept September 25th regular meeting minutes and October 8th budget meeting minutes.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Are they online now? 25th?
Yes, I corrected it.
Thank you.
Yep. It was actually done immediately after I talked to you.
Okay, so the monthly financial report, you guys have that? And, okay. Persons addressing the board, we have nobody scheduled. And public comment on non-agenda items. There's some agendas on the lectern. You want to grab those?
Late, I didn't even know.
It's all right.
Yep. I don't see it on here. Reservoir Road?
Yes, did a bunch of researching and whatnot and talked to the highway guys. And we are going to work on that road in the spring. They're gonna cut back the trees and grade down the road. And it won't be able to be a 2-lane road, but it'll be at least a lane.
Yeah, that's all I care about. Just
Okay. Yep.
let us get up there and,
Yep, that's, that was a decision the board made, and
okay,
so, next spring, Sue,
thank you.
you're welcome.
And do we know about the dam? Is that on this agenda? Oh, it
Absolutely.
is, okay.
So resolutions, motions to approve, let me get the, let me read it for the record, the bills for October. General fund, total $23,413.98. B fund, $3,997.85. Highway fund, $46,503.19. Capital fund, $3,822.18. Line Mountain Lights, $798.11. Line Mountain Sewer, $4,182.33. Line Mountain Water, $1,178.32. Danmore Water, $25. Ledger's Water, $98.59. Trusted Agency, $2,356.62 for a total of $86,376.17.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the bills detailed for $86,376.17.
Second that.
Any more discussion? Roll call, Jim?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes. Okay, second resolution, motion to approve local law number 2 of 2024, authorizing a property tax levy in excess of the limit established by General Municipal Law, Section 3-C, which this year was 1.00002%.
Make a motion authorizing a property tax levy in excess of the limit established by the General Municipal Law, Section 3-C.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And motion to approve the 2025 budget as previously discussed at the public hearing.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 2025 budget.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Do a roll call.
Want a roll call for that one?
Yep.
Jim,
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes. All right, old business. Sand sales to Alliance, they're done, they finished on the 16th. The total for 2024 was 34,854.42 tons. That was about 5 tons less than last year. So the additional amount they owe us, because they pay us up front for 33,000, so they owe us another $28,279.91, which they have to pay us before the end of the year. So.
Is this ore sand?
Mhm. Building cameras installed. Jason, you wanna talk about that?
Everything's up and running here and turned out good, good quality. They did a good job.
Yeah.
They work a lot better than the old system.
And as you notice, we do have one in this room.
There's 2 new additional ones, one here and then one when you come in the walkway, cover,
In the
window
foyer.
there.
And they cover all around the
All the way
building.
around the building, picks up everything.
Quality
Pick
is
up license
excellent.
plate, the vehicle coming up the driveway, the one specified for that. It's pretty much the same setup we did at the beach. There's one higher camera for the roadway here.
Mhm.
It's all pretty much the same setup and they work good.
Do. And there's, we have monitors in a couple places, and Jason has a notification on his phone.
Yep.
So since he's right at the bottom of the hill, if he gets notified there's something going on up here when there shouldn't be, he's right there to come up and see who's up here.
Is it the same camera system that's all tied together?
It's the same thing as this.
No,
obviously-
it's not tied together.
Yeah, it's not tied together. Like here we got the Wi-Fi, so it all, and I mean over there, it's got the same thing. It's got a monitor in there, and it's all sent to that. So it communicates with the beach house, the bathrooms. The bathroom signals to the beach house or the lifeguard shack, and it'll all go to that same unit. So we go over there. You got to view the footage there. We bring a thumb drive and put it in. You can bring it back here and put it on a computer.
And we also have a straight shot to look
the
at the dam and the spillway. So the camera can see anything going on at the dam or the spillway. So,
And like I said in the past, it's like one of the things like, I don't go and monitor it. I mean, if we have an issue, we can go and do it. It saves like 3 months worth of stuff. But if somebody called, like, God forbid something happened bad over there, in the summertime, it's on the camera. Everything's covered over there.
yeah, it's pretty good coverage, because there's nowhere on there that the camera's not
Can't
seeing.
pick up.
So,
I hit every spot over there, just
And it's good quality.
good
Yeah.
quality. You don't know today, I mean,
it's sad that you have to do that, but as we saw this summer,
Well, it's sad when you spend all that money on beach.
well, I got $9,000 worth of damage, I mean, it's worth having,
Oh, yeah.
so put in an $11,000 camera system and,
here, over there was a little bit cheaper, but.
Yep.
We're good, it all come in good.
okay, the dam repair, they're going to be here next week. So again, this is a construction zone, no spectators. They're gonna have a big crane there, so it's gonna be pretty full over there. The mitigation of the rest of the dam structure is still in FEMA's review. I emailed them yesterday and they're still reviewing it, so I know FEMA's really busy right now. New York State FEMA shouldn't be that busy, but they probably are lending people down, at the other states, so.
Are they dropping the lake at all, do you know?
They shouldn't. It shouldn't be unless something goes wrong, it shouldn't affect the lake level at all.
Okay.
We will still, when when winter comes, it'll still be to where it's just barely going over the spillway. That's been very successful the last couple of years. There's been pretty much good ice and not any damage or not much damage with it being that way. So, and it also helps not damage our dam, because when we did walked the dams with the engineers, They were really surprised that where there was damage so far down on the concrete walls. And when I told them that in the past that the lake had been lowered where that was like not underwater, they said that the ice scouring hitting the bottoms of the concrete very well could have contributed to breaking concrete down low on the dam. So once we get that fixed, which the DEC is very watching us to get that fixed. So as soon as we get something back from FEMA, we can proceed with that. Veterans Park status. I want to put in it's not, a lot of people say, well, this is for veterans. No, it's not for veterans. It's in honor of veterans. Just like Emma King Park is not for Emma King, it's in honor of Emma King. So it's named that because it's in honor of. We got the asphalt out of there, which Lake Champlain Basin Program was happy to see that happen. We had the county soil and water came and hydro mulched. I won't say hydro seeded because they put in some seed, but it wasn't to seed the area, it was to stabilize the area for the winter. We're also going to be putting some riprap along where the drain is, culvert comes across the road. We'll be putting riprap there to slow down anything that might get into that loose soil. We got a little bit delayed because we were working on where to put the parking area, the best place for it. And actually the best place as we looked at it was that low spot next to the pump house that would give you pretty direct access with a walking path to the water. So we went back and forth with the state on this, and they were all for doing that, allowing us to do that, but then we got into the realm of, well, would the town want to take the whole thing over, which we said we would, and then they went back and forth and said, well, you realize, if you take it over, there's electricity that goes there, we have to keep the fire suppression system going, we have to, it would cost the town some money to do that, and hey, why don't we just give you a permit that you can use the property as you want, but you don't have to own it, you don't have to pay for it. So that was an ideal situation, so we finally got to that point a couple weeks ago, but it was about a month and a half going back and forth with the state, talking to the commissioners in Albany, talking to their lawyers, going back and forth, but it was actually one of their lawyers who'd said, the town doesn't really want to take that over because it'll be expensive for you. Because if it doesn't fit into one of the 5 categories of how states can turn property over to municipalities, then if we wanted it, we'd have to pay fair market value for it. And that's totally out of our realm of budget.
Couple things on that. I noticed that the riprap, I guess you wanna call it, down by the lake, where they drove their backhoe, whatever, into the water, and they took out the pavement, there's like this much gap between the riprap and the ground.
Oh, you're talking about the silt fence?
Yeah, I think that's what you call it,
Okay.
riprap, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be going back next week to make sure that that's all tucked in.
Cause you got like an environmental disaster going on there as far as if the water, if you got heavy rains,
Mhm.
all that's going.
Yeah, well, that's what the mulch that's on there now will stabilize where there's mulch. And then the riprap is the 6-inch stones that's what the riprap is,
Okay.
the stones. And the silt fence will continue to get tacked down for the winter, because I know I was there, what day was I there? Last week sometime, and when the wind was really blowing, and it really puffs that,
It just seems like the ground's not level there, obviously.
right.
And it needs to go down, because if not, that's where the water's gonna go, is that dirt, so whatever,
Yeah.
where that low spot is, where they took the pavement out,
Mhm.
and there's a gap,
Yeah.
so it's going. And that little spring that's there that water was already turning black that
Mhm.
day from them disturbing
Mhm.
that in there, so there was silt going in the lake from that happening too, which is probably inevitable, probably gonna happen, because it got tore up in there.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, just,
Yeah, I'll make sure that because they're going to go back next week to finish the riprap and to make sure everything is good for the winter. And so I'll make sure that probably the best thing would be to put dirt, like to fold that silt fence back up and get dirt on top of it so nothing goes underneath
if
it.
it can, I don't think it's long enough, the way it's stapled to it. I
Mhm.
think that the stakes either need to be
Yeah.
driven in
Have to
farther
drive them in more.
push that down.
Yeah.
Because that seems like where the water's gonna go.
Sledgehammer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might have to have a few-
Need a bigger hammer.
might have to have a few more.
Something there.
Yeah, we'll get, okay, thanks, yeah. Okay, so we'll be ordering the plants during the winter for delivery toward the end of April, so that we have everything on site when we start. New business. Highway contract with the county. So, the highway department started it first. I think the lead guy on it was the highway superintendent from Cherubusco, from Clinton. Didn't like the 3-year contract and the amounts that they were offering for the step up. It was 2.5, and 3% over a 3-year period. So the town supervisors got involved, and we had a Zoom meeting with Carl Weiss from the county about the contract. And so what we ended up agreeing to was 2.5%, but it's only a 1-year contract. And we said that next May, that we'll reconvene with him, and during the winter months, all the highways departments have to keep track of how many times they go out, how much material they're using on county roads, how often they're on county roads. And we can do that fairly easily. We're fortunate we can do that because we have the GPS on the trucks. So we can, and there's a way to program that GPS system to say, these are county roads, these are town roads. So it'll do the mileage. If you jump off the county road into town road, it'll start putting that distance in a different column. So we should be able to get a pretty accurate count of how much it's actually costing us to do it. And then if we factor in what it would have cost the county to do it, to come up here and do all their own roads, we should get a more fair payment for,
The 2.5, that's percent increase. from last
so
year?
from last year, so 2.5% increase. And they had wanted to have a 3-year contract with just 2.5, 2.53, and we're like, you know, because I wasn't privy to it, but like, I guess 4 years ago, 6 years ago, the increase was only like 1% 1 year, and it was pretty low. And some of the town supervisors wanted, well, you need to give us 5% to make up for what you didn't do, which hurts all of us, because then it's just our taxes going around in a circle. So,
Did they all stay?
excuse me.
Did all the towns stay doing it?
Well, the ones that
I
showed up.
anything, but I just heard
Yeah.
rumor like,
Yeah, there were 10 of us there. You know, some towns didn't chime in, but 10 of us were on the call with Carl, and so this is, so we have a contract.
I think it was Blackbrook or something where,
So for the 24-25, we'll get $66,218 to do the snow removal and treatment on theirs. Plus there's a fuel differential, so if fuel goes up a certain amount, if it goes up more than 50 cents, then they jump us to the next higher level to pay fuel, but it will not go down, it won't go less than what we're getting paid now. So if it goes up,
Our county roads are like the
during the.
Chazy Lake Road, the
Chazy
Leroy
Lake.
Manor,
Standish
Standish
Road.
Pond, Standish Road, Any total mileage on that, any idea what that is?
I had that, let's see. So it's a total of almost 10 miles, so 20 lane miles. It's, So from the Saranac Town line to State Route 374 in Shazy Lake is 2.94. So that's the Shazy Lake Road. General Leroy Manor Road is 2.95, and Standish Road is 4.02.
4.02, we
Yeah.
don't do the Bradley Pond Road?
No,
We don't do Bradley Pond at all. So, that should help us next year, once we have the real numbers. Anecdotally, they say, well, we're not getting paid as much as it's worth, because if the county had to come do it, it would cost them a lot more than what they're paying us. Obviously, they have us do it so that they're not paying that huge amount, but we'll get a better feel next spring. We can actually have a good idea of what we should be paying. So, like I said, it's 66. They'll pay us $66,000. $66,218, and then if gas prices jump, we'll get that differential for that. So we need a resolution to allow me and Mark to sign the contract for 1 year.
I'll go ahead and make the resolution that town supervisor and highway supervisor sign the highway contract for 1 year, $66,218.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Let's see. New highway truck status. I found out today it will be here next week. Huzzah! It's only taken a year, because it was this time last year that we ordered that truck. Right after budget, we ordered the truck, and it'll be here on Tuesday. They're gonna bring it here. Yeah, they're gonna bring it here on Tuesday. So that's all I have there. RV park application update. So I went on the 10th. I went to the site visit with the APA. We spent 4 hours walking through that whole piece of property, longer than I anticipated. And when we started in the morning, it was about 45, and by the time we ended, it was about 70, and I was dressed for 45. So it was pretty warm by the time we got back.
You wear rubber boots on? You wear rubber boots on?
No, I wore these kind of boots.
Wet ones?
We avoided wet spots. Wetland delineation, that was the main purpose of their visit there, was to have their wetland biologist mark all the wetlands. The owners of that property had hired a company to do the wetland delineation. He was also there comparing notes with Mary, the APA biologist. I believe that they found a lot more wetland than was originally thought, and so we should be hearing something. But I do know that their application, as it was put in, was disapproved. So they need to start again. They will not be able to do anything in anything that's marked wetland, and they will have to leave a 100-foot buffer between anything they do and any marked wetland. So that shrinks their area a little bit. I had a terse conversation with one of the owners. I was the first one there. There were 3 people from APA, the owners, 2 people from engineering firms who were there to, basically they were just there to walk around, because they were there for water and sewer, but they couldn't do anything without having the wetlands mapped. And the wetland guy that they had hired. So when I got there, we were standing up on that hill across from Dean Holt's place, and they're looking out and they're like, oh, isn't this a beautiful scenery? And I'm like, yeah, it looks nice right now. Now picture it looking over a whole bunch of RVs. And so she said, well, something's gonna be done here. And I said, well, the original idea that your husband told everybody he talked to about putting in some nice rustic cabins and having a boys camp or having just a dozen cabins or so they could rent out. I said, that fits in with the Adirondack scheme, not this big parking lot. And I said, besides, you're estimating 35,000 people are gonna visit during the summer. And I said, we're a town of 2,000 people. And I said, this whole lake, I mean, if you go to every single place that you can have access to this lake, it's still gonna overcrowd this lake immensely. So, and she was like, well, that's ridiculous, 35,000 people. Who thinks that? And I said, that's what your permit says. Well, that's ridiculous, our permit. I said, read your permit. So they were unaware even what was on their own permit. So,
I
tells me
heard
that.
you say this permit is disallowed, like it's done.
Well,
there's-
this permit has not been approved. It has
Okay.
been disapproved, but, so they have to
Back to the
recircle
drawing board.
and redo. Because the APA does not just do, they don't like cross out things, which is what I think these people thought that they could just say, okay, well, let's just not do that, and let's just not do that, and let's just not. No. When the APA approves a permit, it's for this project, period. So,
That's what the new product.
They didn't include their entire project in it. They called it in phases, and the APA said, no, that's not, they want a final permit for the entire project.
and there was some discussion of wanting to hop off the Ledgers Water District, and so we let them know, and actually Kenny brought this up to us. He said if you look through all that old paperwork when this water district was put in, that the DOT put in there that it was only for residences, no commercial ventures. So even if we have the water there to use, they can't use that system.
But it does allow for residential expansion of that area.
Yes, yeah.
If somebody wants to build a home in that area.
Absolutely, yep. Because that district was built for 88 residences. Because they took all the properties that were there in that space, and there were 88 properties, even though there weren't that many houses. And they said, okay, we're gonna put 88 curb stops, and this is how many residences can be here.
So additional homes up to 88 could be added.
And, I mean, there are additional homes there already, like if somebody's well goes bad, then the line is there so they can hook in, because that was the idea, was that, if there's these 15, 20 houses that already have bad wells, that there's no reason to believe it couldn't expand to other people's wells eventually. So that's why the additional curb stops were already put in, so that if somebody's well goes bad, then it's there to use. So more to come as I get more information on any of this stuff. I'll certainly share it.
So Deb, because of the Ledgers Water District being there, all that property is compromised with salt then, right?
No, it's, the property is, I mean, those wells must be in the same water table that has salt in it. There's
Yeah.
dozens or hundreds of different water tables within the ground, because I can have, like where I am, our well is in a good spot, we don't have salt in our water, but, 4 houses down, they do. So
Okay.
it just depends on how deep your well was sunk and which water table you're into.
Mine is
Getting
bad.
groundwater in it.
Yeah,
Mine
so
is bad.
But
theirs
next
is
year
bad,
you could
it's
test
just
it,
over
you
the
should.
hill.
Next
So,
year you could test it, you could have something.
yeah,
Yeah.
It all depends on how it's gonna hit that water table.
yeah, and those things shift as it erodes and that water's going through there, it could break into a different water table, and now you've got whatever, so. Okay, flushing of the sprinkler system. Well, what a nightmare that was. Yeah, so it was just a nightmare. This company was really difficult to work with. Yeah, we still haven't gotten the final bill on that. But we pointed out some things that they did wrong.
You gotta go back.
that they didn't do, that they did that they shouldn't have done, and whatnot. So, down the road, we'll be looking for a different company to manage our fire control system, because none of us got a really good feeling on this group at all.
That's just for this building, Deb?
So we had an air leak in one of the lines, and when they came to fix the air leak, they put a camera in and said, oh, you've got gunk in your lines. We're gonna have to flush the system. The system had never been flushed. It's been in this building since 2010, which was fine. They said, well, in order to flush the system, we have to go to the ends of each of the lines, put in a ball valve so that we can charge the system up with water. And it sits for 2 days, and then we drain the ball valves, get all the gunk out, we flush the gunk out, and then at all the low points, then we get all the water back out of the system. There was a big argument about where the ends of the lines were, and even though it wasn't the end of the lines, there's a ball valve in my office, there's a ball valve in your office, there's none in your office. There is one in your office. And those aren't the ends of the lines, but that's, and, you know, and our plans are different than the plans they had, and they're the ones that put the system in, and it was like, well, why didn't you put ball valves in knowing that someday you were gonna have to flush the system? Why weren't the ball valves installed when the system was put in? Oh, we never do that. Well, of course you never do that, because then you can charge us to put ball valves in when you have to flush the damn system. So, anyway, it was not a quick and easy and, piece of cake like they initially said. Billy and Jason were here all day Friday. And in fact, I was just coming out of the woods on Friday from this big walk, and Billy calls and said, generator's not working. And so fortunately, Jason was on his way home from work. We rerouted him to Ellenburg to buy a battery for the generator, because it was the battery, and we got that taken care of. But, you know, the generator ran for
3 days.
a good day, almost all day Friday, and then again all day Monday. So they were here on Monday on the holiday, because that's when they came back, and then they were back on Tuesday. And then we made them come back on Wednesday because they
Left a mess.
left a mess and, sorry, don't know how to shut this off.
See what happens when you get a phone?
It's his private number, I don't know. Okay, so, yeah, anyway. So there are some other companies that we looked into that do the sprinkler, and this company kept saying, well, if you don't let us do it, then we're gonna call your insurance company and tell them you don't have a fire suppression system. And, you know, which I suppose it has the right to do, since, you know, we claim we have a fire suppression system, and if it's offline, then they can call and say, oh, they don't have one now. So, but, so stay tuned, we'll be looking into somebody else to do this.
What was the name of the company?
Johnson Control. I mean, it's a worldwide company, but their local people are not. Their local people are not very savvy, let's just say. Okay, so all right, next thing is the fee schedule from code enforcement. So, Shane collaborated with our fees on let's back up, our fees on our code enforcement hasn't gone up in years. So we collaborated with other places, other towns of our size and a bigger size, came up with a kind of in the middle kind of fee schedule. Residential and commercial, those kinds of things should actually be done per square foot instead of like just a basic this much money. And so he's put out this fee schedule. Single family, if you're building a single family residence, 20 cents per square foot, additions 20 cents per square foot, alterations 15 cents per square foot, manufactured housing 15 cents per square foot, attached garage 20 cents per square foot, demo $100, commercials 40 cents per square foot for new commercial storage shed, 20 cents per square foot, additions 40 cents, this is on commercials, alterations 40 cents, demo 200, solar panels, which we never even had in our schedule before, $15 per panel, if you put them on your homes, that kind of thing. These are all one-time fees, by the way. Wood stove, gas fireplace inspections, $75. If you request an inspection, $50 per hour. Operating permits, $50. Temporary COs, $75. Temporary COs for commercial, $150. Renewals, which we had gotten into the raising the renewals already because we have some people who have building permits for like the last 30 years, and we're just paying the $25 to $50 each year, and that was, didn't have to finish a project just for $25 to $50 per year. So, so a building permit renewal will be 25% of the original cost. So if it costs you $100 to get the original permit, then it's going to be $25 to renew. And after 3 years, it's going to cost you the 100% of your. So if you've had your building permit for 3 years and you haven't completed your project, then you're going to basically be getting a new permit. A pool, $100. Storage tanks for fuel, $50 for 500 to 1,999 gallons. 2,000 plus gallons, 125. The short-term rentals we went over before. Single-family dwelling, $200 for 2 years. Building and fire prevention inspections, $100 per occurrence, and valid complaint inspections, $100 per occurrence. So it raises some of them a little bit. I think on new buildings, that kind of thing, that was where the significant increase will come. But it's in line, like I said, I think Butch increased a couple things about 5 years ago, and other than that, hadn't been increased in probably 20 years. So if this is okay with the board, we probably need a resolution to adopt this fee schedule to take place starting January 1st.
Make a resolution to adopt the new code enforcement, fees, I guess we'll call it, for starting the year of January 1, 2025.
I'll say that.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Okay. Pickleball courts. I called them again. They said they may come out and look sometime before winter to see the projects. They kind of recall putting them in when they did. And they said that they'll come and see what the estimate is in the next few weeks, and hopefully they could squeeze us in next year, but no promises. Like I had told somebody earlier that sent me a complaint about the Line Mountain one, that it hadn't been done, and I said, yes, I know it hasn't been done because there's only one company within a 200-mile radius that does these. Again, if anybody wants to start their own business, pickleball courts is where to go because there's only one that does it, and they're booked out 2 years. They're hoping that because we're a municipality, they're hoping that they can squeeze us in when there's a cancellation or something. But I talked to them about if they had any cancellations already when I talked to them early this year, and she said, well, we already have a long list to fill in if somebody cancels. And she said, in fact, somebody canceled. We put somebody in it. They called the next day and said, oh, never mind, we want to do it. And they had lost their spot. So they got put on the other list. So it's a hot commodity apparently, so, somebody else wants to start up how to refinish pickleball courts. It's a good business to be in right now. But hopefully we can get it done next year. I did check on the ones that, Alan and Jackie said there was a place, that they saw a sign for when they were downstate. And I called them and, she's told me to call back next year. Because they had just started, they were a new company, they had just started up and they were already booked.
It's gotten
So-
huge. We were talking about it at work today in Franklin County and, St. Lawrence County, that way, it's like huge. There's tournaments and, oh yeah, it's like,
Yeah, and I mean, I've played it a couple times, it's really not. And it's noisy, it
It's
is a
actually
very noisy sport.
there's some site, I guess you get on down, it's like not really for scheduling, but it shows like all these areas that like, oh yeah, there's people there, they got a tournament there.
The
It's like,
tournaments on TV, it's like,
it's crazy. It's gotten really big.
I say, and it's a really noisy thing. So I can understand the people in Burlington that are complaining that it's right in their neighborhood and the noise is just atrocious. So, all right, so for all the pickleball aficionados out there, sorry, but we're doing what we can. Halloween party, just if you have little kiddos, this Saturday at the Lime Mountain Fire Station from noon to 1 to 3. They're gonna have a little Halloween party. There's gonna be candy. There's gonna be cupcakes. There's gonna be drinks. There's gonna be decorations. Come bring your little ones in their costumes. Come one, come all. We're gonna sugar them up and send them back home with you. So. Okay, we decommissioned, the fuel tank that was up in the mines. We found that we had a total of about 50 gallons stolen out of the tank. And that tank should not even be there. Doesn't meet any OSHA standards whatsoever, so we disabled it. They won't be getting any fuel put back in it, and so it can't be stolen. It was up there so that when the guys were up there loading sand and whatnot, they could run over to the building and get, fuel back up the loaders, but we'll just come up with a better, more secure area for it, probably at the wastewater treatment plant. We'll put a skid in there with some fuel when they need it, and we'll solve our theft problem, plus get something that won't make OSHA heart skip a beat when they see it. So just to let you know that. Anybody have any other new business that they want to discuss? All right, committee reports. So I've gone to a lot of meetings, Zoom and in person, working with what our legislative goals with these different groups are. I'm on the Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages Board. We've been working on our legislative goals, and one of our biggest ones is to get the rest of the state to stop treating the Adirondack Park like an amusement park. To make them understand that people live here, we work here, we raise our families here, we recreate here, we die here, this is our home. So when they come up here and think that, anything goes and they can trash the place and leave because it's a park, well, it's not that kind of park. So that has been a big push to the downstate areas to recognize the Adirondack Park as public and private land, that if you want to come and visit, then that's wonderful, but don't treat it like it's a great Escape or something. It's our home. The Association of Towns, I was on a Zoom meeting, and then I was at an in-person meeting with the executive director of the Association of Towns. And the legislative goals that we are looking at there, well, back to AETV, one more thing is our issues on the reuse of the closed correctional facilities. Hasn't been an issue up here yet, but I know like with Gabriel's, the state wants to say that that's forever, forever wild, kind of, they want to bring it back into that, which is, again, the town's not getting any tax money off it. They want these properties to be put back on the tax rolls so that it can help with taxes. And so that's a fight that the Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages is taking up with the state legislature as well. So Association of Towns, one of the big things that I really hope gets pushed through this year in the new legislative meetings is something similar to CHIPS, but for water and sewer districts. They're pushing the fact that, we're giving towns are getting money to pave and to improve the roads, but then you have all this old infrastructure of water and sewer lines that run underneath these roads, and so when they break, you're tearing the roads up. What we need is something to fix what's under the roads as well. And it's very expensive, especially for small towns like us. So they're trying to get the state to come up with CHIPS type money to supplement our water and sewer districts. So that would be a really good thing for us. And another thing that would be really good for us is they're trying to get the legislatures to agree to allow towns to set their own speed limits on their roads. So we won't have to go through New York State. If we want to lower speed limit on one of our roads, it would be a town decision. So those are two big ones that that affect us. Of course, they have many others, but it's more for the urban, downstate kind of places. But these two would really affect
So instead of going by the beach at 55 miles an hour.
Well, that's a state road.
Oh,
So
you can't fix that.
That's not our, that we still have to go through the state to try to get that one. What else? We finally got the rest of our playground grant yesterday.